topic is not talked about enough, and sharing my story, hopefully more women will talk about it. I got married the day after my 18th birthday. I didn't know much. So when I ended up in the hospital, I didn't know I was having my first miscarriage. 3 years later, I'm pregnant again. I'm happy because I'm having my first baby. I reached 6 months and started feeling really bad cramps. It was my water breaking. I went to the ER and they told me a baby couldn't survive without the water. I was scared because it was too soon. Selena Faith took one breath before she passed. Since I was less than 7 months, the hospital told me they had to dispose of her body. The nurse dressed her in a tiny outfit and took pictures. I was numb afterwards. Leaving the hospital with no baby in my arms, I felt so empty. I never wanted to experience that again. A couple years later, I was pregnant with my second baby. I was so happy things were going good. I was feeling all kinds of movement. In my 7th month, I went into labor. After 12 hours, I delivered a baby girl, Marina Milagro, miracle in Spanish. She was 1 pound, 1 ounce, 12 inches long, and she was put on a ventilator right away and taken to NICU. Her lungs weren't fully developed. She was in an incubator on a breathing machine with wires, IVs, and a heart monitor. After 12 hours, my baby girl's lungs were shutting down. I could see my baby girl struggling to breathe, and I was able to hold her till she took her last breath. The nurse took pictures. I had to make arrangements for her body since she was over 7 months. My mom gave her permission to bury my daughter with her grandpa. I'm pregnant again, almost 3 months. I miscarry. A week later, at the doctor's for blood work, I was told my hormone level was up and I needed an ultrasound. After the ultrasound, I was told that I had another baby, so I was actually pregnant with twins. By this pregnancy, I was diagnosed with an incompetent cervix, which means when my baby got a certain weight, I'd go into preterm labor. I had a cerclage, which is sewing the cervix closed. My 7th month, I go into labor again. I deliver my baby girl, Anissa Maud. She lived on machines for a few hours. My mom signed paperwork to bury my daughter with her grandpa and sister. I'm pregnant again, same thing, 7th month. I go into labor and deliver my first son, William Edward, after his dad. He was cremated and buried at Forest Cemetery. I'm pregnant again. The ultrasound shows I'm pregnant with triplets. I was considered extremely high risk. I had to see a doctor every week. I go into labor. I deliver my first son, William Edward II. He wasn't strong, so I held him in my arms till he took his last breath. I was still pregnant with 2 more. I had to stay in the hospital on bed rest. The next evening, I go into labor again. I deliver my baby girl, Marita Rose, then my boy, William Anthony. Both are the same as my son, too weak for machines, so I hold them till they take their last breath. My triplets were cremated. I have their ashes at home. A few months later, I'm pregnant again. 7 months, I'm in labor again. I deliver my boy, William Cecil. Hours later, he passed due to his lungs. He was also cremated. I told my husband I didn't want to get pregnant anymore. I couldn't take the loss, and my body's been through too much. He also agreed. I'm starting to question God, why me? And by then I was so mad at God. There was no God because I had went through too much. Why would God take all my babies? My sister said she wanted me to go to church with her because our pastor had told her that he had a dream about me giving birth at the altar and wanted to pray for me. I'm like, yeah, whatever. There's no God. He took my babies, but because my sister asked me to go, I didn't want to hurt her feelings. The pastor prayed for me. Lo and behold, a few months later, I'm pregnant again. I'm paranoid because I know what I'm getting ready to go through. I didn't want it because I wouldn't deliver a baby that I would survive. At 2.5 months, I went to my high-risk doctor and he told me he wanted to send me to a fertility specialist who did this special type of surgery. Before I was 3 months, I had abdominal cerclage where I was cut open like a C-section and they sewed my uterus closed from the inside. Before surgery, I was told I could not go into labor because the contractions would make my uterus explode and kill me and the baby. After surgery, every pain, cramp, pressure, I was in the ER. My anxiety stayed high throughout my pregnancy. Doctor every week, ultrasounds every month. 8 months, my doctor said he could do an amnio at 36 weeks to see if my baby's lungs were good at the time. They were good, so we set a date for my C-section. On September 22nd, 1999, I delivered my baby girl, Selena Marie, after the singer Selena. I was on top of the world. I prayed to God and promised I'd never lose faith in him again. She was so spoiled, I was in love with my girl. Then my grandma says, "You need to have another baby so she don't grow up lonely." I was like, "Okay, Grandma, in a couple years I might have another." I wanted to enjoy my time with my new baby girl. 14 months later, while I'm working the election in 2000, I went into early labor. And since I couldn't go into active labor, I was being monitored. After the election, I was admitted to St. Charles and had my second baby girl, Suzette Marissa. Since she was premature, 34 weeks, the doctors had to give her medicine to strengthen her lungs. My baby stayed in the hospital for 2 weeks and then was finally able to come home. She was in an incubator in the NICU, so I only had so much time with her. Since my daughter was born at a Catholic hospital beforehand, my doctor had to get special permission to tie my tubes. And because of my history, the hospital board gave their permission for my doctor to do that. After all I went through, I finally had my two beautiful baby girls who are now 24 and 25 years old. When they got old enough to understand, I told them that they have brothers and sisters, so they know about them and they know they're special.